Today I want to talk to you about Phase 2. This is the interview part of this assignment. The due date is Tuesday, April the 12th, 2016, and late papers will not be accepted. I've got a lot of papers to grade at the end of the semester, and you need to get these papers in on time, and it's due on Tuesday, April 12th, 2016. Any papers submitted after that time will lose points for being late. Phase 1, I didn't do that. Phase 2, I'm doing it. Okay. General writing directions. Papers not adhering to these general directions will not be graded. And I'm going to let you read that on your own. There's nothing there that's odd, but make sure you do read it so that you follow the directions because it affects your grade. We'll go down to the paragraph that says interview directions. After securing a time for an interview, conduct the interview with the person who currently holds a job or career you have researched. Take the questions you have prepared from Phase 1 to guide the interview process. Remember, don't ask any questions about anything that has to do with finances. No salary, no wages, none of that stuff. You may tape the interview with the approval of the interviewee, or you may take notes during the interview. I think that's best. Your interview may also be conducted over the telephone. Email interviews are most often the weakest and generally have earned a low grade. And that's because you can't get any feedback about how the person felt while they were responding to the questions. And people generally respond a lot briefer when you do an interview with an email. So if in any way you can talk on the phone, do a Skype, or meet with them, that would be your best. Page 2. Okay. I want you to look at how long these directions are. You're in an upper division university course. I would suspect that you should be able to follow these directions. And if you can't, there's a problem. Okay. And it's not with the directions. All right. You're typed double space. That means one line between each line that's blank. Single-sided Arial 12 font size report will have 4 sections, and you need to clearly identify those sections. It's part of following the directions. There's section A, B, C, and D. I don't care if you put like A period summary. You can just have A, I'm happy. You can just have summary, I'm happy. But you got to label and separate each section. A, summary. Summarize your interview experience in an essay format. You must explain where, when, how, and the length of your interview. Provide details. A brief summary will certainly not earn a high grade. Your grade will reflect your effort. It is mandatory that you include your interviewee's contact information to include their title, name of their employer, phone, and business address, along with their email if you have it. If your interviewee is in the Witness Protection Program and cannot share their contact information, please find someone else. Papers submitted without your interviewee information will not be graded. There have been instances where I have contacted the person interviewed if I think that the interview is suspect. Okay, so let me give it to you in another way. What I want you to do is talk about your entire experience. And for some students, I have received, and these are A papers, I received information where they're talking about they felt nervous about it the night before, they laid out their clothes, they decided they were going to dress professionally so they can work on their own image management in case, this is an opportunity for networking or even getting a summer job or a full-time job after college. They talk about when they get up, what time they left the house, what happened when they got there, if there were any difficulties, what it was like waiting for the person, what it was like when you were introduced. Anything that's specific about how you experienced the interview process, write to me about. And that'll be appreciated. And that's what Section A is about. Just your experience. And, maybe you ended up talking 20 minutes after the interview because you just hit it off. Or maybe you were in a Starbucks and the Starbucks was so loud, you decided to go back to the office and to finish the interview there. It could be any information like that, but give me a summary of your experience. Okay, that's Section A. Section B, the interview response. I'll just explain it. Let's see. You type the first question that you asked during the interview. Now, some people boldface it just to make it nice for me to find them easily, but that's up to you. You can do what you like there. So one question at a line, and you only ask one question at a time. Then on a new line, you start the response. And your response has got to be a discussion of what you talked about for that particular question. You can explain that the person got kind of excited, or they looked happy, or all of a sudden their face changed and they looked kind of down, and they took some time before they answered the question. Explain those things and explain what they said. Do not type out what they said word for word. If you do that, you will earn an F, because this is a paper you're supposed to be writing. If I wanted them to write the paper, I would ask them to type up their responses and send it in. But the bottom line is, anything that you quote from them is their work, it's not yours. So if you were to talk to somebody about something and then talk to another person, you would explain what you talked about and what I said or what you said during the conversation. You wouldn't give a verbatim or word for word. If there is something that the interviewee said that is particularly significant and you want to use what they said and it's brief, then you can leave a quote. And there's no reference page and no APA that's due with this paper. That was phase one. Your opportunity to learn APA was in phase one. And this paper, one question on a line, on the new line, you give the response. And you can use the word I, first person. I have no problem with that. I would only have a problem if you typed out all their email address, email information or whatever. And you know, if you have an email response from them, I want you to upload it with your paper. Don't retype it out at all. Just upload it so that I can see you emailed them, they emailed you back, the time they emailed, and all of that. I want it attached to the paper that you submit. Right? And let's see, and then go through each of your questions, type on a line, new line, you start discussing the responses. That's section B. Section C is personal reflection. And here I want you to discuss your thoughts and feelings about what you have learned from your research and your interview. What do you now think about the career you were considering? If your ideas have changed, explain how. If they haven't changed, why not? I went 7 years to get a master's degree in psychology. I worked one semester in a practicum where I met students one-on-one and acted like a psychologist as they came to me at the University of Oregon with information, or feelings that they had. It was, counseling. And that's when I found out after 7 years that the job was not for me. I wish somebody would have given me this assignment, because I would have saved at least 2 years in my master's degree. Okay, so this is an opportunity for you to find out if this is the job you're thinking about is something you really want to do for the rest of your life. And that's C. Section D, your goal obtainment. Discuss the specific steps one by one for what you would have to do to achieve this career. What that means is that if you want to go on to graduate school, if you just wrote, I have to apply for graduate school, you're going to get a really low grade. Specific means just that. If you want to go to graduate school, you have to fill out the application, you have to fill out a letter of intent, you have to get 3 recommendations, you have to take the GRE, you have to send it to schools. There are many specific things you need to do. And I don't care what the occupation is, what are the specific steps you would have to do besides applying for the job? Because I want you to be realistic in what you expect you're going to have to do. All of this is for your benefit. I made the assignment focused on you and you alone so that you would get some value out of this. I hope you take advantage of this opportunity. And if you have any questions, please email me and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Remember, Mondays and Tuesdays I'm off at class and at different obligations, so I always get back usually from Wednesday through Sunday as soon as possible. Please get an A. I'd really appreciate it. I want you to shine.